Good morning, everyone. Guys, I hope you are well caffeinated. So, cyber attacks. I've spoke about these for a while, and I've said they're coming. When I did my top 10 list of, areas that I feel are vulnerable in the United Kingdom. At number one, I put cyber attacks. Cyber, because it affects everything. You can do a cyber attack. You don't even need to be in that country. In fact, a lot of the time, it helps if you're not in that country you're attacking. So the golden standard for all cyber attacks is to take your money. And guys, I didn't realize how bad the situation was in the UK. Let me read you just a couple of headlines, and then I'm going to go to a few things that are happening overseas, and then I'm going to come back to the two things that I think are most important. So these are just headlines, guys, from the last 24 hours. Hackney citizen. Cyber attack, Hackney residents anger over ongoing council tax mess. So back in, I think this was a while ago, 2020, Hackney Council they had a cyber attack which encrypted all their files, and they're still dealing with that. That cost the town hall over £12 million. We've got Canvey Infant School to reopen after the cyber attack. Again, who and why are people attacking schools? I don't know. Then we've got microchip technology confirms data was stolen in cyber attack. So I had to look into this a little bit further because I was thinking, right, okay, private company admitting cyber attack. Well, they had no choice, because if you scroll down, the company is aware that unauthorized party claims to have acquired and posted online certain data from the company's system. So, there was a cyber attack on this company called, I'll put the link in the description, but basically a microchip company in America. They produce semiconductors. They had a cyber attack. A lot of information was stolen, and then that information was posted online. So the company had no choice whether, to put this on, to go public with this information and let people know it had happened. Now, guys, I've been saying this for such a long time. No private company, no bank are ever going to admit when they've been under a cyber attack, because people will vote with their wallets. People vote with their feet. If your local bank, if your local financial provider, whoever it is, if they start to become hacked, if people start losing their money, that business will go bust overnight, because people won't have trust in it. And that's why I think this is a really well hidden problem. And I think my suspicion, guys, is this is happening a lot more than we're actually finding out about. Because the reality is, aren't these banks, with these big banks and these big software companies, only the people right at the top of that chain of command, right at the top of that food chain, are going to actually know what the real problem is. For the people down at the bottom, for example, if it's a big bank, all that big bank's going to know is, okay, the tills have stopped working. Okay, this other system stopped working, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then somebody's going to look into that. Their cyber experts are going to look into that, or whoever. And that's going to be a very small group of people who can actually get service to the back office, service to the servers, and look what's actually happened. And, they're never, well, in my opinion, these guys are never going to come out and say this has been a cyber attack, because they're going to lose so much money. Heads will roll, and they will more than likely lose their jobs, and that's how we are in this situation. So the two articles I'm going to focus on now, guys, are critical cyber attack on pension fund almost certain. So an article has come out yesterday about, who's it from? Avon Pension Fund, which has over 150,000 members across the former county of Avon. Lists cyber attack as top of its latest risk register. So, again, you see this theme of people attacking the financial institutes, people attacking money. And guys, I keep saying this is the gold standard. Now, can you imagine one of these pension funds going bust? The pension system in the United Kingdom, I could, I'd like to say the rest of the world as well, the way it's funded, it's kind of like the biggest Ponzi scheme you've ever seen, because it only works as long as there's more people paying in than are receiving payments at the top. And the problem is, right now, there are less and less people paying into these pension schemes, and people are living longer. People are drawing down on their pensions for longer. So that's having a huge financial strain on these pension management companies, whatever you want to call them. They're basically investment bankers. Now, to mitigate that, what these pension funds have to do is they have to make more and more ludicrously wild bets to try and keep that pension pot big. Because again, if you're a pension management company and you are returning a yield of, I don't know, guys, I'm just making this up, of 5%, and another company is returning a yield of 10%, where are you going to put your pension? Of course, you're going to put it in the 10% yield because, it's 10% and people always want more money. Now, and again, this is my speculation, my opinion, my analysis. Obviously, I don't know what's happening in the depths of these pension companies, these pension management companies. But that's where I feel it's happening. That's where I feel it's heading. That's what I feel what's happening. And that's what I feel where it's going. Now, as these companies move forwards and they look to streamline their business and increase their profit margin, because those bankers need their margins, guys. They need their payouts. So as they move forwards and the margins become slimmer and slimmer, they're going to look to make cuts and cuts and cuts. And part of that cuts, guys, I think they will be doing lots of cuts and looking at their cybersecurity and potentially, employing people who are not as competent to do their cybersecurity, because part of, like a lot of security, if there's a determined attacker who knows your systems, there's pretty much nothing you can do. There really isn't, and that goes with every aspect of security. If there is a determined attacker and he wants to or she wants to do whatever, it's very difficult to stop them. The problem is you usually use the deterrence. So, right, if somebody does this attack, we're more than likely going to catch them. And that's kind of the deterrent. Nobody wants to go to jail. But we've seen with various things over the last couple of months that people will still do these things. So the pension pots, guys, that's one that came out of the blind side for me. I was focusing on the banks, but these pension pots, these investment bankers, they are ridiculously vulnerable. So, if you've got a pension, be really careful who's looking after that pension, where they're putting that money. And, what we can see is that there's going to be a concerted effort by cyber attackers to get money out of your pension. They can do ransomware, whereby they freeze all those files, they close down the pension system, and then they say, right, okay, give us X amount of millions and we will unlock your files. And, I would speculate that this has already happened to some companies. The next thing I wanted to talk about, guys, Iran have come out and said, in fact, let me share this with you real quick, because, cyber attack is a global, it's a global thing. So the Iranians have just had to pay, here we are, guys. So Iran pays millions in ransom to end a massive cyber attack on banks. This is an article from yesterday. So I keep saying, banks, cyber attacks are always going to go for banks because they want to create financial instability. They want to create a financial crash. And when you're doing these type of cyber attacks, you can also get paid for them. So rather than doing a cyber attack and turning somebody's water off, you can attack the banks and then you get some money for it. And like I said, guys, okay, people always want to get paid. So the article goes on, guys. I'll put these in the description. A massive cyber attack that hit Iran last month threatened the stability of its banking system and forced the country's regime to agree a ransom deal of millions of dollars. People familiar with the bank say. So an Iranian firm paid at least $3 million in ransom last month to stop an anonymous group of hackers from releasing individual account data from as many as 20 domestic banks. Now, you should never give in to terrorists. What they should have said, the Iranian bank, is, right, okay, you've got that money, you've got that information, publish it, because we're not giving you a penny. Because what this does now, it opens the door up for Iran, for Iran to be identified as a country that will pay ransoms. And that's just going to make the rest of the people in those banks come under more attacks, and more cyber attacks, because the people know they're going to pay. What should have happened is they, again, this is what I would have done if I was in charge. I'm sure the Iranians have got their own decisions. I'm sure there's things that we don't know. But these 20 domestic banks here, what would have happened to them? So 20 domestic banks, you've been hacked, you've lost your customers' information. That information's out there now, and you guys are vulnerable. What are those 20 banks going to do? They're going to go bust, because people are going to vote with their feet. People are going to take their money out, and people are going to put their money somewhere that's safer. And that's the problem when you try and prop up weaker institutions. And we have that problem in the United Kingdom as well, with the banking bailouts, with the banking bail-in law that I did a video on the other day. So if we keep supporting, financial institutions that are weak, that are letting these attacks happen, they're just going to become weaker. For example, now, if you're one of the bank managers in Iran, you're going to look and you're going to think, oh, right, okay, well, we've had a cyber attack. The government have paid it. I don't need to up my security, because if we have another cyber attack, the government might pay it again. I don't know if that's the situation in Iran. I don't know if that's how things work over there. I don't know if people will be getting, dragged to the gulag for this. I really don't know, guys. But that's what, that's kind of the Western mindset of that. Obviously, Iran isn't the West. And again, I don't know what's been happening internally with this system. But if you keep propping people up with these financial systems, if you keep propping people up that are not investing a sufficient amount of their revenue into cybersecurity, it's just going to happen again and again and again. And now you can pretty much guarantee that every hacker all over the world will be looking at Iran and saying, if we hack Iran, they'll pay us. So they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to keep doing it. Maybe the Iranians don't understand capitalism, but that's the way it goes, guys. So that's my video this morning, guys. Cyber attacks are happening absolutely everywhere. Pension funds, banks, it seems like nowhere is actually safe, guys. Make sure you look after your own money. Right, guys, I'm going to Max Grid, and I'll get you guys another video later.